The news is good. On Monday, the 18th of May, the angling restrictions has been lifted on the public angling estate here in Northern Ireland. So yeah, from Monday on, you can fish in Northern Ireland. Now that means social distancing rules must be obeyed. So for my own case, I'm going to take a spare 6-foot fishing rod. And if you come within 6 foot of me and cough on me, I'm going to whip you till you're purple with it. Topic of today's video, just a dead quick video. I use titanium leaders for pretty much all of my fishing for pike, for my lure fishing for pike. We're now in like May time, so bait fishing for pike is out for me unless you're trolling it. It's a waste of your time, really. It's going to be, the pike are going to be, you know, they're going to suck the bait down. You risk the chances of deep hooking. So this time of year for me, no bait fishing for pike, but you can still do lure fishing. So I'm going to run through how I make a titanium leader. Now some people out there will argue that they don't use titanium and because of blah 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 blah, whatever. I use titanium leaders. I do not think fluorocarbons are fish safe. I would not recommend anybody to use a fluorocarbon leader. That's just it. Now you can argue all you want. That's just it. That's my opinion. You're watching my channel, so obviously you must be interested in my opinion. So here we go. Let's make a titanium leader for lure fishing. First of all, there's many different makes of titanium on the market. I quite like AFW, American Fishing Wires Titanium. This is the 100-pound stuff. There's also the 150-pound stuff that I use if I'm throwing really heavy jerk baits or really heavy swim baits. But for most of my fishing, it's 100 pounds and it's an AFW titanium leader. Let's talk about the hardware. Obviously you know the wire's titanium, but there's no point using the best wire there is if you're going to use crap swivels and links that don't work. You need to be using swivels and links that match the weight of your wire. Like this is a 100-pound wire, so I'm going to typically use a swivel that can cope with it. This is a 150-pound swivel. These are designed for catfishing, so they're more than up to the job. You can use like ball bearing swivels, and I do have some ball bearing swivels that are, you know, easily suited to this job. You know, I've got some good Cox and Roll ones. They're up to 130 pounds, but it's just personal preference. I like these. Just my own personal preference. So we're going to start off making a trace. We're going to use a swivel, a good quality swivel. We're going to use this. Set that up there. And then we're going to want to use a good quality clip to clip up the lure. So, again, good quality clips. These are made by AFW. These are 150-pound brick and strain, so that's a swivel that's 150 pounds. I'll just check, make sure it's yep, swivel's 150 pounds. The clip's 150 pounds. So the clip isn't going to give out, the swivel isn't going to give out, and unless you're breaking the 100-pound titanium leader, it's not going to give out. These are nice and simple, these clips. That's the clips. Nice and easy to open. You just apply a little bit of pressure and they open up like that there. There is some other clips on the market like Stay Lock. They're also very good. But basically you're wanting a clip that can stand up to being thrown all day with a lure and it doesn't open itself. I like these. Again, it's personal preference. So how do we make a leader? You have your clip, you have your swivel, you have your wire, and you also have your crimps. Now there's two types of crimps on the market. There are your standard single sleeve crimp. Again, those are AFW crimps. These are all AFW crimps. And then you have a double sleeve crimp. We're going to use double sleeve crimps. Again, there's nothing wrong with the single sleeve. I just happen to have an abundance of double sleeve, so we're going to use double sleeve. So you start off with your wire. Again, wire can be a bit of a pain in the backside. If you don't do it properly, it can spring back and cut you, so I tend to keep it looped up like this here, because you'd be amazed how sharp the end of this wire gets when you cut it, and it will spring back and you will end up with it sticking in you, and it's just not nice. It's not much fun. So how do I attach the crimps? You take your wire, you take your crimp, you push your crimp through it like so. I'm actually going to double crimp this, so you take your second crimp, thread it through. So there you go, you have your two crimps on your wire. You then take your swivel and you slide it on. So everything's like that there. You'll have one crimp, two crimp, swivel. Then you want to fold this end back through your two crimps. So fold it back through the two crimps, like so. Then you want to put this end again back through your crimp. So your wire has went through your crimps twice. Now, this can be a bit fiddly, and it can be a bit of a pain in the bollocks. But there you go, you can see that the wire has went through that, so that you're ending up with two loops like this. And then it's just a case of pulling the loops till they're smaller. It's just a case of pulling the loops nice and small. The good thing about titanium is that you can really get it in tight. I'm going to use a pair of pliers just to get it nice and tight. How's your quarantine going? Are you having a good quarantine? Obviously, you're going to need a pair of these. These are crimping pliers. And then you're going to crimp your wire. You're going to take your crimp again, and you're going to crimp your second crimp. Again, nice and gently. You don't have to squeeze the bejesus out of the damn thing. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't get the swivel eye caught in it. And there you go. That is it crimped into position. Now this tag end here I will cut off. So let me get some snips to cut this off. Again, see these little tag ends? dispose of these with a bit of safety, because there's a sharp end in them now. and guess what will find them? Your feet. Trust me, your feet will find them. Then you just inspect your crimps to make sure that everything looked cool, nothing looked out of the ordinary. And as you can see, everything looks cool. You can see a little gap. Now, if this gets snagged up on the bottom, now say I'm using my like 80-pound braid on my main line, and I've snagged up onto something in the bottom, and I'm tugging. Eventually, you know, something will give. Usually it's the hooks. The hooks will straighten out or break. Always check your trace to see if it's slipped. This is why I leave a little gap. It's about 2 millimeters. Just a little small gap. Nothing crazy. Little gap. If this is shrunk or this is stretched or slipped, you'll see this in the gap. Again, check your tackle, because you know these things can happen. Nothing's infallible. Things can go wrong, so you got to check your gear, making sure your gear's good. Right. I like to have my traces for lure fishing, you know, about 16 inches long. It's fine, you know. 12 inches or more, you know, again, it's fine. For jerk baits, because jerk bait's so big, I mean, a 12-inch, you can get solid wire leaders that are usually about a foot long. Solid wire, again, this again, it was good, but solid wire is kind of being replaced by titanium. So there you'd have, like from the crimps down there to make your 18-inch trace. Again, I'm going to cut it so that it's about there. Get that out of the way. Now, I'm not sure how you're going to see that in this end, but that little bit there, that has come to a little point like a razor blade, or little needle. Now you can throw your trace with the crimps like this. Typically, I don't really do that. I take some shrinking tubing. This is just normal shrink tubing, and I use some shrink tubing just to kind of tidy it up a bit. This is just ESP, I'm just going to try, ESP 2.4 millimeter shrink tubing. Again, shrink tubing. The only reason I'm using the green stuff is because it's the first that came to hand in the tackle box. You can get white, clear, you can get red, you can get black. Again, shrink tubing is shrink tubing. It's hard to be emotional about it, but it is just shrink tubing. Right, so you thread your shrink tubing on like that there, and then you can either dip it in your cup of tea, or not your cup of tea, your kettle, to make it see if you're using like a lighter to do it. Like this is a blue flame lighter. Again, going like that there with it means that you're not burning in one spot. So it's just a case of you're just tickling it like this here, and it'll shrink in to that there. So you end up with a joint like that, and that's that one end secure. Now we have to do the same to the other end. So because I use shrink tubing, I'm going to thread on a bit of shrink tube, put it to the bottom out of the road. I'm going to put on my 2 crimps. I'm going to take my clip. So there you go. Shrink tube, 2 clip, 2 crimps and a clip. Now you put the shrink tube into the other end because you don't need it just yet. And then it's a case of repeating what you did at the other end. So you take your end of your wire, thread it back through your 2 crimps, like so. And then you take this bit and you thread it back through the crimps again. And it's a little bit fiddly, but this is what you do. So just thread the 2 crimps. And then it's a case of fiddling with it till you get it down to where you need it to be. Use my pliers just to kind of get a better grip on it. And again, that is your joint. Now obviously this is needing to be spread out a little bit, so I'm going to crimp one side first. I'm going to crimp them, but I'm going to pull this a little bit tighter here, just a little bit. There we go. Because these are, I'm just trying to get this, you know, in the right way, just making sure everything's cool, and then I crimp. So there you have it. There is the bottom part of it, all crimped, and we're going to cut this tag end off. So I need to get my cutters, where I put them. Disposing of the tag end correctly, because it could end up going into your foot, and that's not what you want. Slide down your shrink tubing. And there you have it, a titanium leader that is ready to rock and roll. Good quality crimp or clip, good quality swivels, top end wire, and that's how I make a titanium leader. If you're heading out on Monday, guys, this is more so for the Northern Irish guys. If you're heading out Monday, remember, stay safe, look out for each other. Keep, you know, the 6 feet apart. This shit is still going to be out there. It's still not going to be something you want to catch and take home to the wife. So, Look after yourselves, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.